throughout the 27 minutes, I felt good, so excited to be back out there.
Picked up by Wiggins. Curry, three. He kings it, and he's fouled.
For us, it was a good step in the right direction. Everybody just competing, and we can build off of this.
Yes, Steph is back, and so are we. What's going on, everybody? Welcome on into First Take. I'm Charlie Arnold, joined by Max Kellerman, Dominique Foxworth. We're going to have a fun show today, but...
We fist bumping or corona?
Of course, but wait, look at this man
bow like the
coming in to join us.
Good idea.
Looking like a WWE superstar. You should have your own entrance music, Greeny.
You know, now I know how Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury felt as they strode down that long aisle to make their way into the ring where they will
40-pound suit
mix it up. Exactly, and it tired me out. I just did a 2-hour show. I'm exhausted. I'm not ready to mix it up with this guy.
What would your entrance music be should you have one? I think we need to incorporate
something probably by Miley Cyrus.
Oh, he is the man to know in the makeup room. You always have the jams going.
Absolutely.
All right, well, let's get our fist bumps in, Max.
Okay.
Came in like a wrecking ball this morning.
How you guys doing today?
I got it. I got the reference.
All right, well, we had a fun night last night watching Steph Curry get back to the hard court. Steph Curry making his long-awaited return last night after 4 long months of rehabbing a broken left hand. His excitement to be back couldn't be more apparent in his 27 minutes of game action. He was back to his old ways, making defenders chase him down all over the place, finishing with 23 points, 7 assists, and 7 rebounds, including a 35-foot bomb as the clock was winding down late in the second quarter. All right, now that he's returned to a very different, much younger team, Max, can Steph Curry carry the Warriors to their former dynasty?
Yes, he can. And by the way, when you say former dynasty, let's remember in the beginning what that really was, right? It was against a hurt Cavs team, and then they lost to the Cavs, and then they got KD, right? So will they be as good as they were with KD? Of course not, unless they replace KD with some kind of approximation. And since you probably won't get a guy as good as KD, but like, what does dynasty mean? Does a dynasty mean you must win the championship every year? Because I don't see it that way. I see the same core group of guys making championship runs every year, and you got to mix some championships in. The Spurs had a dynasty. They didn't win it every year. But this Warriors dynasty, really, when you boil it down to its essential element, it starts with Steph Curry. The next essential element is Draymond Green, his pick and roll partner, who's the do-everything guy. Then there's Klay Thompson, the shooter. And then, really, when they were great, they either had Andre Iguodala or the Superman version of that, which is Kevin Durant, the two-way wing, operating at whatever level you want to talk about, who can do multiple things. They have Steph. They have Draymond. They're getting some version of Klay back. They have draft picks. They have Wiggins. They will put the band back together.
So whether or not they win back-to-back titles, they will win another championship.
They have another championship in this group.
See, I can't argue with that because you've lowered the bar for what a dynasty is. They absolutely will not get back to anyone else's, any normal person's definition of a dynasty. Absolutely, they will not get back to that. And I do see that the landscape in the coming years is a bit open because we don't know how long Kawhi's going to be there. We don't know how long LeBron's going to be in LA. So I think that the West may be open in the near future, and I don't think it's out of the question that Steph Curry, given the right talent around them, could possibly get them to be competitive, get them back to a championship. But dynasty, absolutely not. You have to dominate the sport to be a dynasty.
Yeah, Max, I agreed with every word you said except for the first one, because the first word you said was yes, whereas I believe the first word you should have said was no, because everything you then said argues against the notion of it. They cannot get back to what they were unless they get Kevin Durant back. Steph Curry is great. He changed the sport in a way that few players in history have, and he is as much fun to watch as practically any player of all time. But that team became a dynasty because they got Kevin Durant. They became one of the greatest teams of all time because of Kevin Durant. And unless they get him back, they don't get back to any approximation of what they were then.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Since they were 2 championship appearances, a win, a championship followed by a 73-win team that barely lost by a possession at home in Game 7 on LeBron James's greatest night, basically. That was the original thing. Then they added KD. Bob Myers is GM. That entire organization, look what they've been able to pull off. Now look at what they have in the treasure trove, right? Like look at the potential energy they have in draft picks and whatever value Wiggins can have if he's not the keeper. And you mean to tell me they can't identify a third wheel or second wheel to go with Steph, who's even better than Clay or Draymond, with a high first, an unprotected first round pick, first and seconds coming up, and Wiggins?
That's possible.
Any ideas there?
But the next step is dynasty. That's the next phase. I think Green and I agree with you that they could be competitive. They could get in another championship. They might even win another championship. But dynasty implies that they are dominating the sport. That's what I think of dynasty. You think of the Spurs. Yes, the Spurs were a dominant force. They were in contention every year, won multiple championships. The same for the Heat. Another
you're saying they
short-term
can't
dynasty.
be the Spurs?
No, they can't be the
Dominic,
Spurs.
the Spurs never went back to back. Not one time.
Oh, I absolutely understand that.
And they
but
sometimes got bounced early.
The Spurs are the low end of what a dynasty is, and they were great for a long time. Like, you talk about dynasties, it's more about concentrated time where they dominate the sport. They cannot do what they just did. And the bar for dynasty is what the Warriors put together in recent history. No, because I don't care what approximation of draft picks or players that are out there. You ain't getting Kevin Durant.
See, I think that basketball has a very different threshold for being a dynasty than the other sports. In football, I would agree with you. Making multiple runs and winning one every now and again mixed in there makes you a dynasty. But if you look at what the Lakers have done historically, the Shaq Kobe Lakers, the Magic Kareem Lakers, and others, if you look at what Jordan did in Chicago, you don't just win every now and again and get there. The Spurs became a dynasty because they stayed that good that long with that coach and that one star player. But generally, that's not a dynasty.
Michael Jordan spoiled everybody. No one else does that 3 in a row, and then when he comes back, 3 in a row.
But Shaq and Kobe won 3 in a row.
That was the only other pair, and that's the pairing of the two highest kind of talent guys where it's evenly distributed of all time. To get KD, you're saying that they can't get KD, but Giannis will be a free agent eventually, probably. There are other superstars in the NBA.
Well, then the question is, can Curry take you? Then it's not Curry carrying you. The question, can Curry carry the Warriors to a dynasty? If you bring in Giannis, Curry's not carrying you.
But the point is, Steph Curry was never the best player on the Kevin Durant teams because KD is better than Steph. That's what made them, other than the Bulls, probably the most unbeatable team ever. Is that the standard? They have to be the second most unbeatable team of all time to be a dynasty?
They don't have to be there, but the standard for dynasty is high. You're lowering the standard for dynasty. The standard for dynasty, the reason why you said it's rare, it's a unique thing that happens to have a dynasty. You're just saying that they're going to be competitive.
Did the Celtics have a dynasty in the 80s?
You have to be a step up.
The Celtics made the finals every year in the 80s.
Well, not every year, but a lot of times.
Practically.
The Celtics did, right? The Lakers had a dynasty. None of those teams ever three-peated. The Spurs never repeated. They had a dynasty.
You have to be a cut above. You're saying they're going to be in contention with other teams.
No, what I'm saying is they're going to be in contention every year, and they'll win the championship.
Let me put this in the form of a question.
Yeah.
Would you bet right now that over the next 5 years, the Warriors will win the Western Conference more than any other team will? Because I would not.
Over the next 5 years?
Well, however many years. How old is Steph Curry? He's not doing this 20 years from now.
That's a very hard thing to predict. I predict
But that was the question.
I predict that over the next 5 years, the Warriors will be in contention for the championship every single year.
So, Mike,
will win at least one and probably will make it there twice, let's say, something like that.
That's not a dynasty.
That is dynastic because you have to, that actually connects the whole thing. Like there's 1 year where everyone was hurt. They lost KD and then Steph went down and Clay went down. They didn't make the playoffs. Other than that, you're going to be able to connect the first time they made the finals until 5 years from now as an incredibly dominant team.
Yes, it only is a dynasty because it connects to a dynasty and it didn't go away completely. But no team, if the Dallas Mavericks in the next 5 years make the finals twice and win a championship once, we would not call them a dynasty. No. So the Warriors would only be a dynasty because they had been one
I
and
would
they
say,
took a brief hiatus.
I would say they'd be a dynasty because they play the same way they've always played with the same core group of guys that were there since the beginning, and they continue to be a powerhouse, and they'll win at least a championship. That connects the whole thing.
I guess it all
False.
depends on our definition of dynasties here. There seem to be several at this
Got
table.
a low bar for
As a
dynasty.
Yankees fan, I thought a lot about this.
Yes, well, the Yankees have had a whole bunch of dynasties. They've had dynastic runs, and it's not years in which they've made the World Series twice. The Yankees have not been a dynasty since 2000.
Had the Yankees not collapsed against the Red Sox in 04, it would have connected the dynasty to 96.
Right.
Even though their fortunes post 2000
All
weren't as
right,
good.
well, we got to go here. Greeny, thanks so much. We'll cue up the Miley.